Congratulations on the purchase of your new MVP Series Air motor and replacement cartridge power module. This motor features a modular design that is easy to service. Minimal tools are required to remove the power module cartridge from inside the motor housing. Follow these step-by-step instructions and you will be back online in a few minutes. This video will cover the cartridge replacement procedure for all sizes of MVP Series Air motors, including the MVP 02, 03, 05, and 06, models gear reduced, direct drive with flange mount, direct drive with hub mount, and 316 stainless steel is also available on some models. Recommended tools for this service are shown. For models with a flange, a large combination wrench or a long pry bar will be required. For all models, a slide hammer and 1032 male thread fitting or a T-handle with a 1032 male thread on the end cap will help if the cartridge does not come out easily. A strap wrench will be needed for hub mount models, some Krytox or equivalent grease. For models with a flange, appropriately sized bolts for assisting in loosening the motor housing. You will need a workbench with vise for this procedure. After removing the air motor from the air source, detach all fittings and bring to a surface-mounted vise. Your MVP cartridge replacement kit comes with a service guide detailing the upcoming steps. For additional information, consult your operations and maintenance manual that came with your MVP air motor. Parts in your kit include a new motor cartridge with anti-rotation pin, various fittings to help secure the air motor in your vise, a new cartridge gasket, and an O-ring. Each cartridge size is universal to all air motor models of the same size. Here is a flange mount model. The inlet rotation ports and exhaust port are marked. Securing the air motor in the vise is done at the rear end cap of the motor. Fittings are installed at the inlet ports, and the motor is placed upright in the vise while clamping down on these fittings. If your motor has flats machined on the rear end cap, fittings are not needed. Clamp the vise down on these flats to securely hold the motor in place. Do not place the air motor housing in the vise, as this may cause damage to the air motor. With a pen or marker, draw a line that overlaps the motor housing and end cap. This will help ensure it is tightened properly when reassembling the motor. Some models have radial or side porting. Shown here is a gear-reduced model. The included fittings are installed in side porting to secure the motor in your vise in the upright position. For models with a flange, thread an appropriately sized bolt in one of the flange mounting holes. With a pry bar or combination wrench positioned between the motor shaft and bolt, turn counterclockwise to loosen. Care should be taken to avoid damage. Use a rag on the motor shaft to avoid scratching it. Place the pry bar or wrench as close to the motor as possible, away from the very end of the shaft. For hub mount models, use a strap wrench around the motor housing to loosen. Avoid using a pipe wrench on the air motor housing, as this may cause damage to the motor. Continue to turn the threaded motor housing off the end cap by turning counterclockwise, and keep the end cap in the vise. Set the housing aside and you will see the original cartridge. If you find after loosening and removing the motor housing that the cartridge is still inside the housing, it can still be removed. With slight back and forth movement and gravity, the cartridge may slide out. Take care not to use excessive force or pound the motor housing in an attempt to remove the cartridge, as this may cause damage to the motor. If needed, with the use of a slide hammer and 1032 male thread adapter, screw into the female 1032 thread on the center of the motor cartridge shaft. Carefully tap the slide hammer to remove the motor cartridge. Alternatively, a T-handle with 1032 male thread on the end cap can be used. Along with properly discarding the original motor cartridge, discard the original anti-rotation pin, O-ring, and gasket. If you do not see the cartridge O-ring, it may be inside the motor housing. Be sure to properly discard it. From your MVP cartridge kit, place the new gasket on the end cap, aligned with the internal porting. Take the anti-rotation pin out of your new cartridge and place it in the end cap hole. Find the pin through hole in the cartridge and slide it onto the pin, making sure the cartridge sits flush on the end cap. The anti-rotation pin, when fully engaged in the cartridge and prior to installing, will extend approximately 1/8 inch out of the cartridge. When the cartridge is correctly installed, it will sit flush on the end cap. Any gap between the cartridge and the end cap will indicate misalignment of the cartridge and can be easily realigned. Take the cartridge and place it on a flat surface. Firmly roll the cartridge back and forth to bring the cartridge cylinder and end plates into alignment. The fit of the bearings on each side allow for this movement, and this is normal. Reinstall the anti-rotation pin to ensure it is fully engaged in the cartridge. The cartridge end plates can rotate if needed. There is an end plate notch on the shaft side of the cartridge and an end plate hole on the other side of the cartridge. When properly aligned, this notch and hole will be in line with the air exhaust holes of the cartridge cylinder. If you rotate these end plates, finish by rolling the cartridge on a flat surface once more to help achieve proper alignment. Make sure the cartridge sits flush on the end cap. If a misaligned cartridge only needs a minor end plate rotation, this can be done when the cartridge is on the end cap and anti-rotation pin. Slowly rotate the end plate on the shaft end of the cartridge until the anti-rotation pin fully engages and the cartridge drops flush onto the end cap. Apply Krytox or equivalent grease to the cartridge shaft splines and O-ring. With new parts installed, take your motor housing and carefully slide it back over the motor cartridge. Start to thread on the motor housing, turning clockwise until hand tight. You may feel the internal cartridge shaft engage with the external motor shaft. This is normal and may require slight back and forth turning to engage. After hand tight, take your pry bar or combination wrench or strap wrench to continue tightening until the mark you made on the housing and the end cap are aligned. This ensures proper tightening. Here we show a gear-reduced MVP model. Take the motor housing with gear reducer and carefully slide it back over the motor cartridge. Start to thread on the motor housing, turning clockwise until hand tight. You may feel the internal cartridge shaft engage with the gear reducer. This is normal and may require slight back and forth turning to engage. After hand tight, take your pry bar or combination wrench and fully tighten until the mark you made on the housing and end cap are aligned. This ensures proper tightening. After your motor is fully tightened, turn the output shaft of direct drive motors and make sure it rotates freely. Some gear-reduced models may require a torque wrench to turn the output shaft, or at this point, you can apply compressed air to make sure your motor turns freely. For more information on GAST MVP Series Air motors, go to gastmfg.com/MVP. And to view our full line of air motors, visit our products page at gastmfg.com/products. If you have further technical questions, contact us at technical.gast@idexcorp.com. Thank you for watching.